Good morning, guys. Welcome to another science class. I'm going to go over some slides real quickly, and then I'm going to show you your assignment for the day. So, as you might tell by the title here, our topic will be biodiversity. So let me present my slides. All right. So a couple of reminders before I get into biodiversity. So I want you guys to go to your classwork tab in the Google Classroom and then click on the button in the top left that says view your work. You can see what I've graded and you can see my feedback on the assignments. If you click on the assignments, there should be something at the bottom of the assignment that says private comments, and that's where I've left a comment that only you can see. So read that comment, and if you have to do an assignment over, that's fine. If you got a low score or maybe you forgot to do an assignment, you can go back and fix that. So go back and do the assignment, or if you did it and didn't get a good score, you can go back and fix your answers. I'll still give you credit even if it's late, especially for the reading that I gave last week. I went in and it took me a while to give my feedback, but it's finally done. So you can go back to the reading, and on some of your answers, I've left little comments, sometimes just asking you a question to maybe think about something differently, and maybe then you can fix your answer. All right, so please look at my feedback and fix your answers. All right, what's coming up? So today we're going to do an e-text. Next week, we're going to read a couple articles about a keystone species. There's a specific species that I want to read about that I think is an interesting story. And then Thursday and Friday, I want to see if we can have a debate about that keystone species. So I've done this in the past and it's been fun. So I know that we're not with each other and this is online, but I think we can still do it online. Actually, I think online would be pretty good. So that's what we're going to try to do next week. All right, so biodiversity. I'm going to leave a video here. I think this is a pretty good video from TED Ed about biodiversity. So that's in the slides. So go back to the slides and watch that video. But basically, biodiversity is the number and variety of species. It could also be the variety of genes in a species, right? So we all have genes that make us us, whether it's hair color or eye color. And when a species has many different genes, that actually can help it survive. So one thing you'll see in the reading is about how humans can affect an ecosystem. We rely on ecosystems for many things, obviously food, but also building materials like wood, medicines, and a lot more. But sometimes we abuse ecosystems. And a hot topic right now is in Brazil, they are cutting down a lot of the Amazon rainforest. It's the biggest rainforest in the world, and it's kind of being debated about right now. How should Brazil handle this? I mean, they're depending on the ecosystem for the wood, and they get money from that, but they're also ruining an ecosystem by knocking it down. So it's kind of a hot topic right now. A keystone species. So a keystone is a necessary part of a building. Without that stone, the building would collapse. In the same way, when you look at an ecosystem, a keystone species is a species that is needed for the ecosystem. Without that one species, the ecosystem would collapse. And we're going to have a debate. Like I said, we're going to have a debate about a specific keystone species. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but yeah, it should be good. Basically, a keystone species is one species that's needed for the whole ecosystem. And there's a lot of different keystone species depending on the ecosystem. Genetic diversity. So this one is interesting. If you guys can look at the pictures on the right, I think the pictures are really cool. So these are called peppered moths. And if you want to look this up, it's actually a really cool story of how they've adapted. But the top right shows you a really well camouflaged peppered moth. And that's an adaptation, right? The moth has adapted to its environment. But one thing I saw in the answers from last week in the reading about adaptation is that I want you guys to understand that adaptations happen over a long time. It's not like this moth chose to have that color. What really happened was the moth was born with certain traits that made it that color. And because it's well camouflaged, it survived and it was able to pass those traits and pass those genes on to the next generation. Any moths that didn't have those genes, or a moth that might have had darker colors or very light colors and that are easy to see, well, if a predator sees them, then they're probably going to die. So those genes aren't passed on because they're dead. And that's kind of how natural selection works. The animal with the best traits is the one that survives and gets to pass its genes on to the next generation. And so adaptations happen over a really long time. They happen over many, many generations. I'm showing you this picture in the bottom right because during the Industrial Revolution, and it's kind of a cool story, trees actually got a lot darker. There's a lot of smoke in the area from all the smoke coming out of factories, and the trees got dark from that smoke. And then what happened was the peppered moths that were dark were actually the ones that survived. Again, just natural selection. They had dark colors and they were able to survive based on the environment. Another really cool one is Darwin's finches. So Darwin is Charles Darwin. And in the 1800s, he was the one who really came up with this idea of evolution. He's got a few famous books about evolution. And he studied finches as well as other things in the Galapagos Islands. And he noticed how they had many different beaks. And this is an example of genetic diversity. You have the finches, but they all have different beaks, and it really depends on what they eat. The birds that eat hard seeds have adapted to have really strong bills to crack open seeds. The finches that eat plants have like these long, skinny beaks that are able to poke open plants and get inside them. So that's a really good example of genetic diversity. All right, so that's kind of just a few things I wanted to share before you do the reading. You'll see these things in the reading, so just watch out for that stuff. Let me think about what else you have to do. Okay, so let me show you your assignment for today. So it's going to be another e-text. So again, make sure that you answer the questions that have a notebook icon. So as you go through the reading, again, a few things. You can use the play button to have this thing read to you, which I think is kind of nice. Any word that is underlined in blue, you can click on to get a definition, right? The number and variety of different species. Yep, that's good. And then as you read, there's a few things I want you to do. Again, answer any question that has a notebook icon. If it says download, you don't have to do that. Right, but you want to scroll down, and anywhere where it says notebook, you want to click on the notebook, and then you want to type your answer. So this question says, what do you think are 2 important ways that humans benefit from a healthy ecosystem? So you want to just think about that and then write your answer. What do you think? You can look at this picture maybe to guide you, and then try to answer the question here. All right. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to highlight words you don't know and then look them up. Right? You have a computer in front of you and you have basically a dictionary in front of you. So let's say I'm reading this and I don't know a word. Let's say I don't know prey. I can try to highlight it. I don't know if it's going to let me highlight right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can highlight it. And then I can go to dictionary. And then I can look up a word. Hit enter. It might take a minute to load, but eventually it'll give you a definition of the word you're looking for. Okay, so an animal hunted or seized for food. All right, so that's what I want you guys to do today. Read the article, and again, any questions that show up with a notebook icon, click on it, and then type in your answer. All right. As usual, if there are any questions that come up, please reach out to me, email me, call me. I'm here in front of my computer to help you guys. That's about it. Oh, also, family meeting tomorrow, 12 noon. Not mandatory. It is optional, but it was really nice to see a lot of alchemists last Friday, and we're going to do another one today. So family meeting, kind of like a circle. So I hope you're there. All right.